aspects to India and our demographics and so much that invariably we always have questions that we leave over and we say, oh my God, this is so good, we should add this to the quiz as well. And we say, no, we'll keep it for another week. It's literally that we're spoiled for choice with the amount and the kinds of questions we have, which is it's something that we really, really enjoy. And Meenal works on her quiz, I work on my quiz, because we want to make sure that, you know, there's no overlap and it comes from a fresh perspective. So we're always trying. And well, we're, I think, already into half the year has gone by. We're already in July. And we're still quizzing. So, and thank you all for being with us on this journey. I'm sure at the end of this journey, there's going to be something very interesting for all of you. But very quickly, let me tell you what's interesting that you're going to walk away with if you are the winner of today's quiz. It's, you know, when we selected the book, I didn't realize it's actually going to be so topical. In keeping in context with today's times. And this book is written by Peggy Mohan, who has a very interesting background, by the way. It's called Wanderers, Kings and Merchants. It's the story of India through its languages. Each and every one of us, if we're not bilingual, we're definitely trilingual. Some of us probably even know 5 languages, which is so fantastic. But what we don't realize, or we have these certain myths about certain languages come in a certain hierarchical order, or, you know, the advance of certain languages, etc., you know, have a certain trajectory. Sanskrit is probably the purest. Well, Peggy Mohan, who's an expert in linguistics, actually tears apart all of these notions that we have. And she presents it in a very, obviously a very educated, a more proper way of doing it, where she's actually gone to history and she's looked at the evolution of languages right from the common people, the trade people, the courts of India, and then traced history as per that. So lots of notions. If we, one of the biggest takeaways actually from this book, of course, it's very incisive, very intense, is this whole notion that we have of, you know, us being of a certain order, or we belong to this. Actually, we're all very mixed origin, which it's kind of nice to get that kind of perspective. So sometimes I think the way we fight and have issues about certain things are a little misplaced because our origins actually are all mixed up. Okay. That's the book that we have, and I think it's a fantastic read. I haven't had the opportunity to read it, but you guys get a chance to do that. So with that, I'm going to welcome all of you. You know the rules by now, and Rupesh is there, Meenal is there, Sanskriti is there. We'll help you in the background if you need anything. And with that, I'm going to very quickly now share my screen. If anybody wants to say anything, please feel free to put that in the chat box. Don't put your answers in there, because what's going to happen is it's not going to get recorded. What you do need to do is log into kahoot.it. The game pin is in the chat box. Please take the game pin, put that into, you know, on the screen when you log into kahoot.it, it will ask you for the game pin. Put that in there. Whatever it asks you for, your name, etc., put that in. And that's pretty much all you have to do. You will then look at the screen, the questions and the options for the answers will come up there. We'll guide you as we go along, and you will see that we do have a few poll questions. Poll questions, we're a little inquisitive, want to know what's happening in your lives. But that apart, we also want to get you a little comfortable with the format, and then we'll get into the quiz. So the game pin is 503-5495. You need to log into kahoot.it. Just look for the game pin in the chat box. You're going to get it. All right. So with this, I'm going to very quickly share my screen in a minute, as soon as Meenal allows me to share my screen. Thank you, Meenal. So Meenal essentially, folks, is the producer of the show. So She's the one in control here. All right, I'm going to try sharing it again. Yes, I can this time around. And here we have it, all you wonderful people. Padmaja, Udit, Kevin, Paras, Vanshika, Gaurav, Hallie, Ayush, Rachit, Saurabh, Anuj, Sagar, Mervin, Abhishek, Shetty, Ambika, Abhinash, Kartikeya. Welcome, everyone. And if we're all set, then we're all set to play. Okay. So Mayur, Anna, Ritish, Keravi, all good time. We have the poll questions and you can still join in till then. Very, very easy, breezy questions. So I hope you really, really enjoy this quiz. And here we go. Welcome, everyone. We've been quizzing, and we still never get over or done with the questions. Okay, so the poll questions, 3 of them coming up, and no marks for this. That is the first 3. It's a multi-select. If you had to do one good thing for the planet, would you use public transportation? Probably give up meat. Why not eat less meat? Just give it up. Stop buying fast fashion, your H&M and your Zara and whatever, or give up plastic items completely. What would that good deed for the planet be? Okay, so I think giving up plastic items, that's a very good, good sign, simply because from July 1st, which is yesterday, whole bunch of things that we can't use anymore. Use some of that in the quiz, so I'm not going to give away too much. And then using public transportation, which I think is really a great way to go. Of course, again, stop buying fast fashion. I think, yes, that is, landfills are full of these clothes, which are made from really, really different kind of materials, which are not biodegradable. And of course, also thinking about methane gases and greenhouse gases, etc., and probably going a little low on the meat, which is anyway a good thing to do. All right, another one coming up. What do you consider as a greater threat to society? Opportunistic politicians, biased and muffled media, social media where disinformation, misinformation is easy to pass through, or uninterested and uninformed citizens? I mean, we definitely are a part of the 4th category, but okay. So clearly there is this dependency and expectation that we have, or, of the media as being the bridge between the government or the powers that are and, the citizens. And then when that is compromised or that is broken, it is it's very difficult for society to function. And there has been this sort of dependency, and we've seen corporatization of media. We've seen how media can be very easily compromised. And it is kind of a bit of a shame where we are. But there are also some very, very brave journalists and media organizations that are trying to sort of break that impasse and trying to do what they do best, which is really getting good stories out there. And then, of course, we're saying uninterested and uninformed citizens. I would think it all starts from there. We have to be engaged. We don't have a choice. Because if we're not involved, then we'll be completely cut out of the whole equation. We cease to exist anymore, right? In the scheme of things. And we've seen what happened in Maharashtra. As a political science student, suddenly when the whole issue happened in Maharashtra, I completely forgot about, what's a floor test? How does it happen? How do you, what are the anti-defection laws? Who's, who does it cover and all of that? And I think these are very fascinating questions in a democracy, and we should be looking out and seeking more of these answers. And next time we have to exercise vote, then, we have to keep all of these factors in mind. And then I think it's a smart way to think about it. The least number has gone to social media. That's just a medium. That's technology. It can be used for good and for bad. Sometimes we give way too much weightage, probably. So very fascinating how all of your responses actually reflect on what is happening. All right, a word cloud, because you really help us so much. When the skies are gray or when things are dull, what is that one thing or that one person that makes you happy? It could even be something as simple as a cup of tea, or it could even be a comedy film, or it could be your sibling, or it could be your mom, or whoever that is, or whatever that is that makes you happy on a dull, gray day. Okay. Well, a hug, Dadi ji, a good book, food, definitely. This group loves their mothers. There is no two ways about it. So I'm not surprised that mom comes right in the middle of all of this. I'm just going to make sure that I get a lovely picture of this. It's so beautiful. Family, clearly. Dogs, yes. India fact quiz. Oh, that's really nice. It's so special when you say something like that. Bird watching, I can imagine really how de-stressing and how nice that is, because you realize they probably have more wisdom and they live more in tune with nature than probably we do. Vanshika, okay, that's very nice. Dads, why not? Dads too. Okay, all right. So with this, we'll get into the quiz now. I hope we're all ready. Please remember, don't give up. No matter, that's one thing about this format. Even if you're getting a whole bunch of questions wrong, you can just quickly mop up some double point questions. And if you crack the puzzle question, you're on the podium. So I think the name of the game is don't give up. And just remember, as soon as this quiz is over, don't go anywhere. Meenal's going to come on with her quiz. So you can actually have a double bonanza of 2 prizes today. Okay, so here we go. This is the first question of this week's quiz, and double points for this. This state or union territory records the highest number of students per 1 lakh population who have gone overseas. We're talking about the period of 2017 to 2019 because we don't have data beyond that. The states that you have are, or the UT is Goa, Punjab, Chandigarh, and Kerala. Some states send more students than others, and 9 of you picked Chandigarh, and you're actually right. So 10,150 students from Chandigarh out of a 1 lakh population go abroad for studies. Punjab is around 859 students for 1 lakh 100,000 population. Goa is 344 per 1 lakh population, and then Kerala is 341. Okay, this is the first question, many more to come, and we'll see how this goes on. But Chandigarh clearly is number 1 in the country. And we have Vibs, Nicey, Anjay, Paris, and Triveni, a very dynamic scoreboard. You got this answer right, and you were the fastest to answer this question. Okay, true or false coming up. More students from Maharashtra have gone overseas for further studies compared to students from Gujarat. Is this statement true or false? We're comparing the number of students that have gone abroad to study between Maharashtra and Gujarat. And we're saying more students from Maharashtra have gone abroad compared to students from Gujarat. So the 24 of you that said false, you are correct. Perceptionally, I was also stumped by this question because instinctively you think about Maharashtra, you think about Pune, you think about Nagpur, Bombay, all of these metros, hordes of students that are going abroad. What we fail to realize is there's also Gujarat next door, which is probably sending more and have probably more connections with certain places. We know most of our students go to the United States, Canada, Australia, some of them to the UK, a number of them to Germany, lots of them, lots and lots of them to the Eastern Bloc countries of Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, all of those places, Ukraine as well. We saw what happened. So Gujarat sends about 252 per 100,000 population, while Maharashtra sends 212. So they're not very far, but clearly Gujarat sends more students compared to Maharashtra. We'll go in for the scoreboard. It's Vibs, Anjay, Paras, Naisi, and Dipankar. Lot more questions, very simple, straightforward ones. So things can really take a tumble. Like I said, hang in there. Double points for this question. This state or union territory recorded the highest army recruitment from 2017 to 2019. Is it Mizoram, Himachal Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, or Uttarakhand? Army recruitment has become such a hot topic. It seems obvious why so. We're asking which state had the highest recruitment. It is, in fact, Himachal Pradesh. I was a little surprised with this one. I tend to typically, I was wondering maybe between Mizoram, Uttarakhand. Himachal Pradesh was a bit of a surprise there. But Himachal Pradesh is about 402, whereas Uttarakhand is 271. Tamil Nadu is the least in the mix, and clearly more army recruitment has happened from Mizoram compared to even Tamil Nadu. All right. Quick look at the scoreboard, and it's Paras, Naisi, Sagar, Dipankar, and Adya. The next question, this is a true or false, and double points for this one. This statement says there are more Hindus in jail compared to Muslim prisoners. We're talking about convicted, not under trial. Is this statement true or false? Okay, so the 10 of you, I got this absolutely wrong. I must confess. The 10 of you that said false, you are indeed correct. So there are 80 Hindus in prison for a 1 million population, whereas there are 101 Muslims in prison for the same 1 million population. And I think this puts things a little in perspective, because Hindus are the majority in India compared to Muslims. And yet, when we talk about the number of Muslim versus Hindu prisoners in jail, there are more Muslim prisoners than Hindu. You don't want to get into any more conjecturing. This is what data is telling us. This is, in fact, from a government document. So this is actually, Abhishek, to your question, this is actually from a question in the parliament. I think the source, and I'll request Meenal to please just add the source into the chat box. The source should tell you, but this is not, because census again is a little dated. So I think this is a more contemporary data set. I have to say, and I feel really ridiculous when I'm sort of putting the questions together and I'm using data sets. And this is NCRB, by the way, this is the National Crime Bureau record. When I'm using these data sets and I see a lot of these questions, by the way, the data sets are in 2019. And I'm thinking, no, we're already in 2022. We need to have more recent data. Well, the data isn't there. So we have to at some point bank at the latest or the last data that we have. I sometimes feel census is just so far away, you know. But anyway, that is the nature of what it is. And this is NCRB data to the best of my knowledge. It will be there in the chat box. All right, we'll take a look at the scoreboard. And I love it when you'll ask me for the source. It's very, very important. And it also just reminds us that it's what we're doing here. We're trying to sort of, you know, get data sets and sources out there and make it as simple as we can. So thank you, Abhishek, for taking the interest to ask the source. So it's Shri, Adit, Ritesh, Paris, and Nicey. We still have some questions to go, so don't worry. This state or union territory has the highest number of Hindu temples per 100,000 population. Is it Gujarat, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, or Tamil Nadu? Okay, so 29 of you said, so when I saw this question, the first thing I'm thinking is, must be Gujarat, because you have the Somnath temple there, you have, you know, there's so much there. And then I'm thinking, oh, no, it has to be Uttar Pradesh, because, well, the most populous state, right? When you look at any data set and you see Uttar Pradesh in the mix, you don't mess around. You just go for Uttar Pradesh, because that's how it should be. So those of you 7 who went for Uttar Pradesh, I don't blame you. I would have been exactly in your camp. But it is, in fact, Tamil Nadu. And Tamil Nadu, of course, has a very, very rich, diverse culture and some very outstanding, beautiful, and surprisingly well preserved temples. Maybe because, you know, whatever that may be. But it's about 103 temples per 100,000 population. UP has about 16 per 100,000 population. Gujarat has 71 per 100,000 population. And then Bihar has about 24 per 100,000 population. So that's really how it stacks up. So next time, you know, you think about, or you see temples, etc. And by the way, this data set, I must mention, was created by a group of students from IIT Bombay, and they actually sort of put all of this data together. So I think it's called templesofindia.org or somewhere, where they've actually got all of this data in place, which is fascinating. It's very nice when you have you know, professionals like this who come up and do some interesting stuff using data, right? Okay, so here we have it. It's Shri, Adit, Ritesh, Ayush, and Sagar. And we still have more questions, so hang in there. Double points for this one. There are more temples in Gujarat. Sorry, there are more temples in Goa compared to Gujarat. Is this statement true or false? Okay, so 25 of you clearly knew something that I did not, because my perception when I think of Goa is the churches, and I'm thinking of you know, all the legacy that the Portuguese have left behind, and this beautiful, beautiful churches that are, you know, sort of dotting the state. Well, in fact, there is also a very equal high proportion of temples in Goa, and it's about 118 per 100,000 population, whereas Gujarat, as we know, is about 71 per 100,000 population. Okay, so the scoreboard, Shri, Adit, Paras, Adya, and Nicey. And a true or false with double points. We're now talking of food habits. More households in Bengal consume fish and prawns in their daily diet compared to households in Goa. Is this statement true or false? We're focusing on primarily seafood in the diet, And more households in Bengal consume seafood compared to households in Goa. This one absolutely stumped me. So the 27 of you that got it right, you clearly were on to something. But just so you know, Bengal actually consumes much lesser fish and prawns in their diet compared to households in Goa. So Bengal is about 68.1% of households that consume fish and prawns, and Goa is at 82%. So clearly, I missed something because, again, stereotypes, perceptions, typically what we hear, what we see, it really can cloud the mind a bit. All right, we'll take a look at the scoreboard. And it's now Shri, Paras, Adit, Adya, and Haley. And we'll get into the next true or false. Double points for this one. More households in Punjab consume eggs on a daily basis compared to households in Gujarat. We're now talking about eggs, and we are comparing Punjab and Gujarat. Is this statement true or false? Okay, so this is literally a very, very sort of a minor, I mean, it's the perception that we have of Punjab is a land of butter chicken and non-veg and alcohol. Well, and the perception that we have of Gujarat is no non-veg, absolutely done, no alcohol, completely dry state. But actually, it's, sorry. Okay, so Ritesh makes a point on the 100,000 not mentioned. We believe you've got the thread, so essentially, just so you know, there are more households in Gujarat that consume eggs compared to households in Punjab. Likewise, also, if we compare it when we talk about meat, consumption of meat, etc., non-veg, Punjab is surprisingly a fairly vegetarian state compared to most states, especially down south. For example, if you compare it to Tamil Nadu, the perception is that, it's all butter chicken in that land, but actually Tamil Nadu consumes much more non-vegetarian food than Punjab does. Actually, a lot of Punjab is vegetarian. Okay, we'll take a look at the scoreboard now. Ritesh, just to put things in perspective, even if I hadn't mentioned 100,000, your answer would pretty much be on the same lines, all right? So you're always sort of trying to, because we're such a diverse country, you're always trying to sort of try and create that and make sure that you have that per capita or, per 100,000, etc. So it's Paras, Shri, Adit, Adya, and Dipti now on the scoreboard. There still are a couple questions, so one puzzle can actually crack it for anyone. All right, and already there's a change in the top 1%. So this item is not on the list of banned items effective from 1st July 2022. Plastic plates, cups, glasses, cutlery, wrapping film around mithai boxes, plastic sticks for earbuds, balloons, candy, ice creams, or plastic bags less than 120 microns. Okay, so I think it was between wrapping film around mithai boxes and invitation cards and cigarette packets. That is banned effective 1st July. The one item that is not on the list is plastic bags less than 120 microns, because that ban is going to come into effect on 31st December 2022. So we are going to start 2023 without plastic bags. Manufacturing of plastic bags less than 120 microns is going to be completely banned. So you just have to change certain behaviors, right? Like make it a point to carry a bag wherever you go, so that if you have to buy something, you're not asking for a plastic bag. And you know, it's a much more sustainable way of living. And I think it's all about just breaking those habits. There's a fascinating book I read called Wasted. I don't know whether we've given it on the book list, you know, in one of the quizzes, but we definitely should read that book. It just busts all those myths that we have about waste. So sometimes we think about plastic probably not being, oh yeah, Meenal reminded me, I told you she's a very effective producer. So we sometimes think about, you know, plastic bags being very bad for the environment. But if you think about the virtual water, the amount of electricity, the amount of consumption that actually goes in making a cloth bag, you probably might think plastic is not as bad. These are some things that we really have to get around to sort of understanding and checking. But I'm going to go to the scoreboard, and then of course we have the last question, and then Meenal's quiz coming up. So Shree's back in the top spot, followed by Paras, Deepti, Adit, and Adya. And we have the last question, and that can actually change a lot of things. So this is a puzzle question. We're going back to fish and prawns as part of our everyday food. And we're asking you to rank the states. I think we've established Bengal's position, so I hope you haven't forgotten that. But the options you have are Bengal, Tripura, Goa, and Kerala. You need to arrange the states based on the state that has the highest consumption of fish and prawns as part of their daily diet to the lowest. So that's all you need to keep in mind, from high to low. And your options are Bengal, Tripura, Goa, and Kerala. Please don't forget, Bengal comes below Kerala, below Goa, in whichever order you're going to be putting the questions. I'm sorry, I hope I haven't confused any of you. I was just trying to be a little helpful and give you a hint. Okay. So actually, it is an interesting one, but it is Tripura, which is 95.8% of households consume fish and prawns as part of their daily diet. And then you have Kerala at 83.3%. Goa, we established, is more than Bengal, which is at 82%, and then Bengal is at 68.1%. It was not the easiest, I must admit. Sometimes these things can get a little tricky, but all of you played really well. So let's take a look at the podium. And anyway, don't move, because Meenal's coming up with her quiz. So it's Deepti in the third position, Paras in the second, and in the first position, we have, there we have it, Shri. All three of you are going to get Wanderers, Kings, Merchants, the story of India's language, of India through its languages, by Peggy Mohan. It's a lovely, lovely book. Congratulations to the three of you. Please don't go anywhere. I'm going to very quickly stop sharing, because Meenal's going to share the game pin, and we're going to get started. There she is. Okay, hi Meenal. I'm going to very quickly stop sharing and turn off my camera.
Sure. Thank you, Rashmi. Hello, namaste, good evening. I think the three winners who just won, congratulations to all of you. Abhi hum Hindi quiz ki shuruaat karenge. Very quick, very simple. I think इस बार आपके लिए simple होगा. मैं हर बार कोशिश करती हूँ कि थोड़ा और simple हो, but I somehow, and I don't know, the data points are so interesting कि कुछ वो ऊपर नीचे हो जाता है. But I'm hoping that today will be easy. और गेम पिन अभी आपके साथ चैट बॉक्स में शेयर किया जाएगा. मैं अपनी स्क्रीन भी शेयर करती हूँ ताकि आप जो गेम पिन है वो देख सके. और जब तक आप गेम में एंटर कर रहे हैं, मैं आपको आज की किताब के बारे में बताऊंगी. सो गेम पिन 881707 आपकी स्क्रीन के ऊपर है. आप जल्दी से जल्दी एंटर कर लीजिए. और जो आज की हमारी किताब है वो मुंशी प्रेमचंद जी की 41 स्टोरीज हैं. इसकी एक कंपाइलेशन है विच इज इन अ बुक. तो उनकी 41 जो स्टोरीज हैं वो इस बुक में आपको मिलेंगी. मुंशी प्रेमचंद जी, जैसे हम जानते हैं, हिंदी लिटरेचर के एक बहुत ही क्लासिक राइटर रह चुके हैं. और जो उनका करियर था, लिटरेरी करियर, वो उर्दू फ्रीलांसिंग में एक्चुअली स्टार्ट हुआ था। एंड जो ये उनकी इनिशियल स्टोरीज थी वो फ्रीडम स्ट्रगल को डिपिक्ट करती हैं, वो पेट्रियोटिज्म को डिपिक्ट करती हैं। तो सब स्टोरीज जो उनकी इनिशियल स्टोरीज हैं वो कुछ इन्हीं थीम्स पर हैं। तो ये जो आज की बुक है इसमें उनकी 41 स्टोरीज हैं जो इंटीग्रेट की गई हैं। तो you'll get to read those 41 stories in one book, and the winners today will walk away with this book. और कोई पोल क्वेश्चंस नहीं है, हम जल्द से जल्द बस क्विज के साथ शुरू करने वाले हैं। तो आप जल्दी से गेम पिन एंटर कर लीजिए। 1 जुलाई यानी कि yesterday it was नेशनल पोस्टल वर्कर डे। तो कुछ क्वेश्चंस हैं जो हमने उसके ऊपर रखे हैं। पोस्टल सर्विसेज इंडिया का जो पोस्टल नेटवर्क है, जैसा कि आप जानते हैं, अगर नहीं भी जानते तो इंडियाज पोस्टल नेटवर्क इज द लार्जेस्ट इन द वर्ल्ड। और कुछ फैक्ट्स हैं, कुछ डेटा पॉइंट्स हैं जो इसके बारे में हैं, जो आज के क्विज में आप जान पाएंगे। तो आई एम होपिंग कि यू ऑल हैव एंटर्ड द क्विज, और मैं स्टार्ट करने वाली हूँ। जस्ट सो यू नो, बहुत से ऐसे क्वेश्चंस हैं जहाँ पे आपको लगेगा कि आई एम नॉट गेटिंग इट, लाइक रश्मि सेड, बट यू trust me when I say this, we've seen this happen so many times कि scoreboard एकदम end moment पे जाकर change हो जाता है। सबसे बड़ी बात, जो पजल क्वेश्चन है वो लास्ट में नहीं है, बीच में है। सो यू माइट फील कि चलो पजल के बाद तो हम हार ही जाएंगे। सो व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू टेल यू इज स्टे टिल द एंड, बिकॉज दैट लास्ट क्वेश्चन और द सेकंड लास्ट क्वेश्चन और एनी वन ऑफ द क्वेश्चंस कुड डू इट फॉर यू। सो वेलकम टू ऑल ऑफ यू, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर स्टिल स्टेइंग ऑन फॉर द हिंदी क्विज। आई नो थोड़ा हिंदी समझने में मुश्किल हो जाती है, बट आई ट्राई एंड मेक इट एज इजी एज पॉसिबल। और जल्द से जल्द आपको इंग्लिश ट्रांसलेशंस के साथ क्वेश्चंस बताऊंगी। So here we are, and let's begin with today's quiz. This is week 10 for Game of Facts Hindi. और हम हमारे पहले क्वेश्चन के साथ शुरुआत करने वाले हैं। डबल पॉइंट्स के लिए क्वेश्चन है, देश में ग्रामीण डाक सेवकों की संख्या, नंबर ऑफ ग्रामीण डाक सेवक्स इन द कंट्री, जो हमारे देश में ग्रामीण डाक सेवक हैं वो कितने हो सकते हैं आपके हिसाब से? अप्रोक्सीमेटली 45,000, 2,45,000, 1,45,000 और 4,45,000। Okay, so here we have it. 13 of you got this correct. I think majority went with the highest number, which is 4,45,000. जो ग्रामीण डाक सेवक हैं GDS, वो बहुत से ऐसे फंक्शंस हैं जो उनके होते हैं। फॉर एग्जांपल सेल्स ऑफ स्टैम्प्स, और जो पोस्टल स्टेशनरी होती है उन सब की सेल्स, कन्वेंस एंड डिलीवरी ऑफ मेल, जो भी हमारे मेल्स होते हैं, हमारे पार्सल्स होते हैं, कुरियर्स होते हैं, वो सब उसकी डिलीवरी और कन्वेंस का जो रोल है वो ग्रामीण डाक सेवकों का होता है। और जो ड्यूटीज जो पोस्ट मास्टर और सब पोस्ट मास्टर उन्हें प्रोवाइड करते हैं, वो सारी ड्यूटीज उनकी होती हैं। एंड वी हैव अबाउट 2,45,000, टू बी प्रिसाइज 2,45,141, सो इट्स क्लोज टू 2,45,000। और इस क्वेश्चन के बाद देखते हैं हमारा स्कोरबोर्ड। Okay, few new names, Kanjan, Adit, Arya, Sonu and Kervi. You have made it to the scoreboard after the first question. Let's see कि second question के बाद क्या होगा। डाक विभाग यानी कि जो हमारा पोस्ट डिपार्टमेंट है, उसमें कर्मचारियों की कुल संख्या, और ये हम GDS यानी कि ग्रामीण डाक सेवकों को छोड़कर, एक्सक्लूडिंग ग्रामीण डाक सेवकों को क्या संख्या है? टोटल नंबर ऑफ एम्प्लॉइज इन डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ पोस्ट, 2,62,000, 5,62,000, 62,000 या 1,62,000? Correct answer 1,62,000. 90 भी है, but we just rounded off to 1,62,000. तो जो हमारे देश में total number of employees in the Department of Posts हैं, that is about 1,62,000 in excluding the ग्रामीण डाक सेवक. तो अगर उनको भी ऐड करें तो it's a larger number. और इसी के साथ हमारा स्कोरबोर्ड, आई एम श्योर कुछ हलचल हुई है. यस, आदित्य जो कि सेकंड पोजीशन पे थे have now come to fifth, but stay there. We have सागर, अभिषेक on the scoreboard now. चलते हैं हमारे अगले क्वेश्चन की तरफ. डबल पॉइंट्स फॉर दिस वन. देश के सभी डिपार्टमेंट डाकघर यानी कि जो डिपार्टमेंटल पोस्ट ऑफिसेज हैं कंप्यूटरिक्त हैं, यानी कि कंप्यूटराइज्ड हैं. ऑल द डिपार्टमेंटल पोस्ट ऑफिसेज आर कंप्यूटराइज्ड इन द कंट्री. क्या ये सही है या गलत? नाइनटीन ऑफ यू गॉट दिस करेक्ट. ये सही है. यहाँ पे गौर कीजिएगा, हम सारे पोस्ट ऑफिसेज की बात नहीं कर रहे, लेकिन हम डिपार्टमेंटल पोस्ट ऑफिसेज की बात कर रहे हैं. टोटल नंबर ऑफ पोस्ट ऑफिसेज इन द कंट्री इज अबाउट 1,56,721 एज आई टोल्ड यू, द लार्जेस्ट पोस्टल नेटवर्क इन द वर्ल्ड. लेकिन इनमें से जो हमारे डिपार्टमेंटल पोस्ट ऑफिसेज हैं, about 25,363 टोटल डिपार्टमेंटल जो पोस्ट ऑफिसेज हैं वो सभी कंप्यूटराइज्ड हैं. और इसके साथ आई थिंक स्कोरबोर्ड चेंज हुआ होगा. बिल्कुल सही. कैरवी इज ऑन टॉप. देन वी हैव सौरभ, आयुष, कंचन और पद्मजा. So I just love seeing this dynamic scoreboard. It's just so interesting to read new names after every question. चलते हैं हमारे अगले क्वेश्चन की तरफ. इलेक्ट्रॉनिक और डिजिटल प्रणालियों के तेजी से विकास के साथ डाक विभाग का योगदान कम हो गया है. The role of Department of Posts has diminished with the rapid advancement of electronic and digital communication system. जो हमारे rapid communication system है, जो digital हैं, उनकी वजह से जो postal department है उसका जो role है वो कम हो चुका है. क्या ये सही है या गलत? ये गलत है. और 30 of you got this correct. उनका रोल डिमिनिश नहीं हुआ है. इनफैक्ट इफ यू लुक एट द स्पीड पोस्ट, जो स्पीड पोस्ट के थ्रू हम कोरियर्स या लेटर्स या मेल भेजते हैं, दैट हैज इंक्रीज्ड फ्रॉम 2015-16 टू 2018-19. वहीं जो रजिस्टर्ड पोस्ट होती है उसका वॉल्यूम ऑलमोस्ट कांस्टेंट है. लॉकडाउन और कोविड की वजह से जरूर कुछ इम्पैक्ट तो पड़ा ही है, बट दैट इज फॉर एवरी अदर इंडस्ट्री एज वेल. तो अगर ओवरऑल हम डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ पोस्ट की बात करें, जो हमारे देश के पोस्टल सर्विसेज हैं, इवन दो वी हैव ईमेल्स, वी हैव फोन्स, कॉल्स, लेकिन फिर भी जो स्पीड जो चीजें हमें कहीं से एक स्थान से दूसरे स्थान तक पहुंचानी होती हैं, फ्रॉम वन प्लेस टू द अदर, आई थिंक दैट इज द स्टिल कैरीड थ्रू द डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ पोस्ट. एंड दैट इज वाई जो उनका रोल है वो कम नहीं हुआ है. It's either constant or has increased in some way. तो चलते हैं स्कोरबोर्ड की तरफ. सौरभ आई थिंक एक एक करके ऊपर आ रहे हैं स्कोरबोर्ड में. Now he's taken the lead. उनके बाद है पद्मजा, खंजन, आर्या is back on the scoreboard. Then we have शांतनु. और इस क्वेश्चन के साथ प्रिया is up by 5 places. Hopefully next question is going to be lucky for you. Or let's see, maybe not the next, the one after that. तो चलते हैं हमारे अगले क्वेश्चन की तरफ. पजल क्वेश्चन है ये और डबल पॉइंट्स मिलेंगे आपको इसके. डाकघरों की संख्या के आधार पर इन राज्यों या केंद्र शासित प्रदेशों को उच्च से निम्न में लगाएं. रैंक दीज स्टेट्स और यूटीज फ्रॉम हाई टू लो ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ नंबर ऑफ पोस्ट ऑफिसेज. तो इन स्टेट्स या यूटीज में जिस स्टेट या यूटी में सबसे ज्यादा पोस्ट ऑफिसेज होंगे, दैट विल कम ऑन टॉप, सो ऑन एंड सो फोर्थ. तो इस ऑर्डर में आपको रैंक करना है. यू हैव अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम, थोड़ा सा सोचिएगा. शुडंट बी डिफिकल्ट, बट लेट्स सी. ये जो स्टेट्स और यूटीज हैं, द ऑप्शंस आर दिल्ली, केरल, पंजाब, असम. दैट इज दिल्ली, केरला, पंजाब, असम. 30 more seconds to go. आई एम होपफुल कि कुछ लोगों को ये जरूर सही मिलेगा, बट even though if that's not the case, it's okay because puzzle questions are difficult and you still have about 5 more questions after this, I think. Yeah, so let's see. Okay, so here we have the results. One of you got it correct. Not bad at all. I'm glad at least somebody got it correct. जो correct order है, that is Kerala, Assam, Punjab और फिर Delhi. To tell you how many post offices each state or UT has, Kerala has about 5,053, Assam at 4,006, Punjab at 3,817 और Delhi में सबसे कम 511. आई थिंक थोड़ा सा आपको इसको अगर आप जो स्टेट का साइज है या यूटी का साइज है उसके अकॉर्डिंग शायद करते तो कुछ ऑप्शन सही हो जाते, बट नॉनदलेस वन ऑफ यू गॉट इट करेक्ट एंड we'll see who that person is. Adit, wow, congratulations. Okay, so we have Adit, Saurav, Padmaja, Kanjan and Arya. See, that's what I was talking about, ki ek question, be it a double points question or sometimes the puzzle question, it gets you to a very high level on the scoreboard, so just keep at it. So here we have the next question in front of us. 2017-2020 तक डाक की डिलीवरी के संबंध में प्राप्त सभी शिकायतों का हल कर दिया गया है. All the complaints received about the delivery of posts, यानी कि जो non-delivery या delayed delivery है, from 2017 to 2020 have been resolved. आपके हिसाब से क्या ये सही है या गलत? 36 of you got this correct. सही है ये. जो भी कंप्लेंट्स थी, जितनी भी कंप्लेंट्स रिसीव हुई थी सेपरेटली फॉर द नॉन डिलीवरी, अगर किसी मेल की डिलीवरी नहीं हुई है या फिर लेट डिलीवरी हुई है, तो जो कंप्लेंट्स यूजर्स ने डाली हैं पोर्टल पे या डिफरेंट पोस्ट ऑफिसेज में जाके, दे हैव ऑल बीन रिजॉल्व्ड फ्रॉम 2017 टू 2020. दैट इज द लेटेस्ट डेटा वी हैव, तो इसीलिए हम इन्हीं ईयर्स के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं. और इस क्वेश्चन के बाद I think just a slight shift, so we'll go on to the next question quickly and see what it is. It was also World National Doctor Day yesterday, तो हमारा अगला क्वेश्चन जो है वो फॉर डबल पॉइंट्स ये है, राज्यों में तैनात आयुष डॉक्टरों की संख्या, नंबर ऑफ आयुष डॉक्टर्स डिप्लॉयड टू द स्टेट्स. आपके ऑप्शंस है 5,500, 15,500, 37,500 या 27,500. Twenty-four of you. Wow, maximum got it correct. Really nice. जो exact number है that is 27,495, so rounded off to 500. This is according to NFHS 5 2020-2021 में जो हुआ था, और उसके बेसिस पे जो सर्वे हुआ था उसमें स्टेट्स में जो आयुष डॉक्टर्स हैं उनकी संख्या 27,495 है. So with this, we move on to our next question. Last three questions coming up. But before that, the scoreboard, I think Arya just came back on the scoreboard. और बाकी नाम कुछ similar से हैं, आदित्य, आर्या, कंजन, सौरभ और पद्मजा. चलते हैं हमारे अगले क्वेश्चन की तरफ. उन पुरुषों का प्रतिशत जिन्होंने कहा कि उनकी पत्नियां उनकी अनुमति के बिना गर्भ निरोधक का उपयोग नहीं कर सकती, यानी कि कॉन्ट्रासेप्टिव्स का उपयोग नहीं कर सकती. Percentage of men who said that their wives could not use contraception without their permission. Is it 4%, 14%, 54% या 34%? आपके हिसाब से कितने ऐसे पुरुष हैं जिन्होंने ये कहा है कि उनकी जो पत्नियां हैं वो उनकी अनुमति के बिना without their permission cannot use contraception? 26 of you again, the majority. I'm actually nobody went for the lowest number, which is about 4%. तो जो exact percentage है that is 54%, and 54% of the men said in a survey that their wives could not use contraception without their permission. और इस question के बाद here we have the scoreboard. I think Kartikeya starting में थे शायद scoreboard पे, but now he's back. Or maybe if he wasn't, so he's just here right now. So we have Adit, Saurav, Udit just made it to the scoreboard. Then we have Arya and Kartikeya. Let's move on to our next question. नसबंदी करने वाली महिलाओं का प्रतिशत. percentage of women who underwent sterilization. Is it 18%, 8%, 28% या 38%? नसबंदी यानी कि स्टरलाइजेशन कराने वाली महिलाओं का प्रतिशत आपको बताना है. आपके अकॉर्डिंग इज इट 18, 8, 28 और 38%? Fourteen of you got this correct. 9 of you went with 18 and 8%. 11 of you went with 28%, but the correct one is 38, the maximum of these options. So between 2019 and 2021, nearly 38% of women they had undergone sterilization, compared to just 0.3% of men who had undergone a vasectomy. तो ये एक जो comparison है where we see that females are mostly asked or required to undergo birth control processes, whereas men are not even aware that something of that sort could be done. तो ये कुछ ऐसे data points हैं जो हमें बताते हैं कि where these kind of gender differences come in. और आज ही मैंने actually talking about gender, I just saw a tweet on Twitter और उसमें किसी ने बैंगलोर एयरपोर्ट की पिक्चर डाली हुई थी जहां पर there was this जो बच्चों के लिए डायपर चेंज करने का प्लेटफॉर्म होता है, दैट वाज इन अ मेंस रेस्टरूम. तो आई थिंक वो कभी देखा नहीं जाता और दैट इज ऑलवेज यूजुअली इन द फीमेल वॉशरूम्स, फीमेल रेस्टरूम्स. और वो ट्वीट देख के आई थिंक इट शुड हैपन इन एवरी restroom or washroom that's out there, because handling kids, handling children is not just a female's responsibility, it's a combined operation for both the parents. So I think these are a few gender equality things that need to come in. But here we are with our scoreboard again. Or okay, see, I told you new names just coming in before the last question. So we have Adit, Saurav, Kartikeya, Kanjan and Swati. Let's see if Swati gets it in the last question and somehow wins the quiz, which will be great. और इस question के साथ Rohit is the highest climber, तो वो भी podium पर आ सकते हैं. तो आज का हमारा last question I think for double points होगा, या for double points. उत्तर प्रदेश में उन महिलाओं का प्रतिशत जिनकी उम्र अब 20 से 24 वर्ष है, जिनकी 18 वर्ष की उम्र से पहले शादी हो गई थी. Percentage of women who are now aged 20 to 24 years in UP who got married before they turned 18 years old. आपके options हैं approximately about 26%, 6%, 36% और 16%. परसेंटेज ऑफ फीमेल्स जो कि 18 ईयर्स से पहले जिनकी शादी हो गई थी उत्तर प्रदेश में. हम सिर्फ उत्तर प्रदेश की बात कर रहे हैं यहाँ. 10 of you got this correct. The correct answer is 16%, which is to be precise 15.8%. और जो हमारे देश की national average है, that is about 23.3% of the females who got married before the age of 18 years. जिनकी अभी उम्र about 20-24 years होगी. तो इस question के बाद we have the podium और I'll request you all to claim your prizes with the link that is given to you in the chat box, which will be given to you after the podium is shown. So here we have our winners for today. आज के क्विज के हिंदी क्विज के हमारे विनर्स हैं सागर. ओके, सागर was not on the scoreboard at all, and we see, I told you Swati is one now, and on the winner of the quiz is Saurav. Congratulations to triple S, nice. And Ayush Dev and Adit are the runners up. Adit in fact was actually on the scoreboard for every question mostly, but nonetheless congratulations to all 5 of you. 3 of you get this book, मुंशी प्रेमचंद जी की जो 41 कहानियां हैं, that you get it. And thank you so much for joining us today. ये स्क्रीनशॉट ले लीजिएगा और अपना प्राइज क्लेम कर लीजिएगा within 24 hours, and हम आपकी बुक्स जल्द से जल्द dispatch करेंगे. Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a lovely weekend ahead. We'll have 2 rounds of quizzing every Saturday, like और आशा करते हैं कि हम आपसे फिर से दोबारा जल्दी से मिलेंगे. Thank you.